There is one very interesting thing about human psyche. Even if we know that something is wrong, we keep on doing it. For example, consumerism. Everybody knows that consumerism is bad. But have we stopped consuming things? No, we haven't. No matter what comes our way, we keep on consuming. We will consume material things and we will consume intangible things like information. And we do so regardless of knowing that consumerism is a mental disease. It's a disease that we are inflicted with. But that doesn't stop us from consuming whatever we can. Human beings are walking on streets like dead zombies, consuming indiscriminately. And that's why I thought that it's a good idea to make a video on the topic that why consumerism is bad and what can we do to make it stop. Now, unfortunately, I do know that if I tell you what has already been told to you by those documentaries on consumerism that are out there on YouTube, it wouldn't make much difference. Hollywood has movies like Fight Club that have put in the mainstream discourse that consumerism is bad for humanity. But regardless of that, we never stopped consuming stuff. So it means that I have to do something else in order to make sure that you understand that consumerism is really bad, which you already know, but at the same time, you will be able to apply that in your real life, which is going to be almost impossible. But I think I should try to do that. And I also know that you might be listening to me right now, but after you close the YouTube, you're going to go back to Facebook or Instagram and you will start consuming the information that is presented to you on those platforms. Exactly, that's also one kind of consumerism where you keep consuming information indiscriminately without even realizing what is happening to you. In addition to the concept of dopamine that is released in your body when you are continuously consuming stuff and you get this feeling of happiness, there are so many more things. And some of those things have to do a lot with ideology. But for the time being, we will keep ideology aside and we will venture into other different ideas of consumerism. I think in addition to realizing that consumerism is bad, it really helps if we understand why do we consume stuff. We live in a society, and in society, you do not have any value unless you have material things in your life. So it means that your neighbors, your relatives, your friends, and your social circle, your colleagues will value you more if you have material possessions with you. And that's why you keep on acquiring material things. Now, many of my friends argue that it's not only about material things, we also care if a person is good or not. And I strongly object to that assertion because that's not the reality. It should be the reality, but that's not the case. One example is this, that I have a friend and he lives in a different city and I go to that city and I know that if I approach that friend, he will not be able to offer me a cup of tea. If I'm an average person, do you think it makes sense for me to approach that person knowing that if I go to his house, he will not be in a position to entertain me? It doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, if I know that my friend is very affluent, I will not hesitate in contacting him or calling him, despite the fact that I know that there are chances that he will refuse to meet me. And that's why it's very important for us to understand that in society, we value more material possessions. Now, the point is this, that we should have valued more the personality. We should have valued more the content in the words of a human being, but we don't do that. And that's why we are very prone to consumerism. That's why we keep on consuming things without even realizing what we are doing. So we have to understand this dynamics of consumerism so as to be able to understand that why should we be willing to leave it. Now coming to the second example. Human beings are very interested in moving ahead in life. It means that they want to be seen to have made a progress in life. And how do you show that to the society? You show that to a society by accumulating more things. So for example, if you have a simple car now, tomorrow you might want to possess a luxurious car. If you have a 3-bedroom apartment now, tomorrow you might want to have a 5-bedroom apartment, and it never stops. You keep on wanting more and more stuff, despite the fact that you might not even need it. But you want to be seen in the society as somebody who is making progress in his life. And that kind of thinking has taken toll on our life, and nobody is happy. So consumerism is one of the main reasons that nobody is happy today, because people are looking forward to acquiring new and new things. So it's not only the science of dopamine release in your body, it's also the social construct of consumerism that we need to understand. Now there is problem with my narrative, and the problem is this, that it's easy to say that, it's difficult to do. Example is this, that if I go to university and I see my fellow professors doing amazing stuff, going to Italy, France, Germany during vacations, I go back home and I realize that, wow, they are amazing because they get to go to those places. But I don't have enough money to do that. Then I will feel inferior. So when I'm thinking that I'm inferior, it means that the locus of my personality is exterior to me, is outside my personality or myself. And that's the worst thing, because if you have read any life book, it tells you that you should grow as a person. We know it, but we don't want to practice it. So that's why we think that in order to be able to stand at the same level as our colleagues or as somebody who is economically superior to us, we have to buy those things that will prove that we have reached that level. People go to the extent of taking loans for stupid things, for example, going to vacation or organizing a private function in such a way that they can show to the people that they have very high economic status. And whenever you are doing this, you are consuming stuff, and that's why you are never happy. So whenever I talk to my students and my friends and relatives, I always tell them that you should look at yourself as a person and not as somebody whose existence is dependent on the things that are external to you. Because if that is the case, then there can be nobody as weak as you are. And there is no point in projecting your personality onto the world using material things. You should make sure that your personality has depth. You should make sure that your words, they have great meaning. Whenever you talk, I understand that there might be people in your company, there might be people out there on this earth that will not understand you when you are trying to make sense. Because I know that that's not a popular thing. Those people who are part of the popular mechanism or popular scenario, they never understand the meaning of deep words. They never understand the depth of your personality if you have a lot to offer to the world to make it a better place. So be ready that you will not be understood by them. But that shouldn't stop you. So why should you change yourself because of those people who do not have the depth, because they are so shallow that they will never be able to reach your level? You should not lower your level for those people. And also, that's point number one when it comes to the solution of consumerism. You should always try to make sure that your personality is the best. It's not based on external things. It is what you have gained. And also, when I say external things, you should also realize that I'm not talking about the information that you gain so that you can tell the people that you have knowledge. No, merely collection of information like Wikipedia or Google is not a proof that you have knowledge. You should be able to understand that knowledge. If you merely repeat those things in front of your friends and your relatives, it will not make any difference. And you will still be a shallow person. Just try to understand that you should discard any material things in your life and just only use them and not feel that your personality is associated with those things. And also, the knowledge that you gain should be very real knowledge. It should change your personality. It should not just add information to your personality. That was point number one. Now coming to point number two. As I told you before, that average people will not be able to understand you, or they will not even appreciate you. They might even reject you or humiliate you for what you really are, because you are trying to be a deep person without any material aspects. It's going to be difficult for you. But at the same time, you have to do one more thing. That is point number two. If somebody approaches you and that person is relying on external material things to project their personality onto you as if it's bigger than what they really are, then you should totally discard it. You do not have to be rude to their face, but at the same time, you should not pay any attention to it. I know that sometimes those people are your relatives or your friends, but your job as a good relative and as a good friend is to make sure that they are really happy, because the happiness should come from within. And they should not be happy because they are getting that happiness because of the things that they are acquiring. So that's why you have to make sure that you do not pay. First, you will have to do it deliberately, consciously, but after that, it will come naturally to you that you should not pay attention to any material aspect of the lives of the people who are with you, who are your loved ones. Now, those people who are very materialistic, or those people who are very greedy and money minded, they will find it very difficult to do so. I'm sorry, I don't have a solution for you guys, but I'm just talking to those people who really want to consider that they want to stop being into consumerism. I give you one example. I have a friend, he got a new car and he was very happy. He came to me, he was showing off his car. I never paid any attention to the car. I knew what he was trying to do, but I also wanted him to be happy for a longer period of time, and not because he bought a car. Because I know that the happiness that you get when you buy a car will fade away in a few days, and then you would have to buy a new car or something else so that you keep that happiness level up. So that's why just please make sure that you discard anything that is materialistic about those people who are in the circle of your life. Now, coming to point number three. It's a very good thing to have a superiority complex with some substantial amount of humbleness. I know that many people might think that I'm being a snob when I talk like that, but no, that's not a bad thing. You should know that you are a superior person because of what you really are from the inside. And when I say inside, I'm not using some romanticized version of yourself. I mean those qualities that ought to make you a good person. And whenever you have those qualities, you should feel damn good about yourself. It should give you a sense of superiority feeling. You should feel that you are superior to everybody else who doesn't have those qualities. Now, the point is this, that when you have that superiority complex, at the same time, one of those qualities should be humbleness. It means that you have to be humble at the same time. And I think when you leave consumerism behind, you will realize that you have become a better person, because now you pay attention to some deeper meanings. Now you pay attention to some other things in life. That things are not merely material possessions. Those things are really that can be ingrained into your personality. And you should feel happy about it. So whenever you will have that superiority complex, you will feel happy about that. At the same time, you do not have to show that superiority complex to the people who are around you. In fact, that superiority complex should make you more humble. And that's a great feeling, because you know that you deserve to be treated in a very better way. But at the same time, those people around you who are engrossed in consumerism, they are not capable to recognize your qualities, and you just sit back, relax, and enjoy that scenario. Now, the point number 4. This point is going to be the last point for today, and it pertains to the relationships in your life. So, whenever you have a relationship in your life, you want to make sure that that person is close to you. It could be your parents, your siblings, your subordinates, your friends, your spouse, your lover. Now, how do you ensure that those people are close to you? You can do it by doing 2 things. Number 1, you do everything for those people. In a way, your actions are proving to them that they mean a lot to you. And the other way is that you engage in consumerism. It means that you apply the tactics of consumerism onto yourself, and you try to increase your value in the relationship so that they understand that you are of very high value, and it's good for them if they keep themselves closer to you. And I think The first one is a better way to do it, and the second one is the worst thing that you could ever do in any kind of relationship. I give you one very casual example. I used to have an acquaintance, and she told me that her spouse liked her more if she put on the makeup. So she used to spend too much time putting on the makeup. And I was like, if that person loves you, that person should love you anyway. I'm not saying that you have to be in a very bad situation in physical sense. And despite that, that person should love you. You have to groom yourself well. You have to be presentable. But those things should not be superfluous. You have to be in good health. You have to consume good food. You have to have a positive mindset. And those qualities should make you the person that everybody else should like or love. But if you keep putting onto yourself something like makeup, it means that you are superficially making yourself very attractive or appealing to that person. And I think that's a different sort of consumerism, and you should avoid that. The person with you should love you for the qualities that you have, for the sacrifices that you are making in the relationship, because no relationship can go without any sacrifice. Sacrifice means that you are happily doing something for that other person. So this is the second way of maintaining a close relationship with your family, with your friends, and things like that. But just don't try to engage in any sort of consumerism so as to increase your value in that relationship, because what you do is what society pays attention to. That's not really a good case scenario. So I hope that you understood that consumerism is bad, and if you try to apply these things in your life, I really wish that you achieve some positive result. Thank you so much.